Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
It's Thursday. Today's guests, including John Shannon, standing by to talk hockey, brought to you by Optic Foliar. The only lights-on spray with no damage, no burning to your plant leaves. Plant efficiency, nutrition, and results all combined into a single solution for all stages of growth and safe to use on flowers. Spray it, see it, believe it. Optic Foliar. Visit this made in BC company online at opticfoliar.ca. As we bring in NHL Analyst, co-host of the Bob McCown podcast, John Shannon, as always, on a Thursday. John, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
Morning, boys. Doing great.
I know you tweeted about this, John, but what was Bobby Clarke thinking? Ripping into Ron Hextall, fellow ex-Flyer, in regards to Cale Makar?
Well, he obviously, if you know Bobby Clarke, he wasn't thinking. I think that, and I've known Bobby a long time. I worked with Bobby for a couple of years. He's such a competitor. He believes in the Flyers and the organization so much that when they get under criticism, he will lash out. And the one place he can lash out is when he wasn't in charge. And there were stories at the time when Ron Hextall was dismissed that Ron was not very inclusive and had the doors, the locks changed on the doors in his office, and was worried that people were spying on him. There were stories like that coming out of Philadelphia. So to me, this is just a continuation of a disappointing era for guys like Clarke and Paul Holmgren, who felt outside of the decision-making process when the Flyers were drafting players.
As competitive as they call Bobby Clarke. So who does Cale Makar, and the last 2 weeks, John, just two spectacular goals by him, among other plays, but who does he remind you of? Anybody? Well,
and it's going to, I don't use this very often, but I think he only reminds me of two guys, and that's Paul Coffey and Bobby Orr.
Wow.
His skating ability, his style reminds me so much of Coffey. I think he actually may shoot the puck better than both of those guys. But I give credit to technology with that too, with the new sticks. But he's in that right now, with a small sample size. He's in that category. His ability to maintain control, his ability to take over in certain situations is similar to what Orr used to do, and certainly Paul Coffey did when he was in the many places he played, including Edmonton.
John, let's get into Evander Kane. A lot of people don't like the fact he's going to get another shot in the National Hockey League. Looks like he definitely will. A lot of teams have called his agents. Your thoughts on the whole process of Kane, what's happening, and how this guy might, looks like, get back in the NHL?
Well, no, I think he will, Rick. I don't think it's a question of if. I just think it's a question of when.
Yeah.
It may not be this year. And let me just throw that out there. It because of what went on, because he's already coming off a 21-game suspension, and if the league is looking at the transgression that occurred at the end of December when he flew home to Vancouver. If the league wants to go through that process, which I guess they have every right to, because he's still under an NHL contract at the time, then it might be in the summertime. That said, if you're a team tight to the cap, you can look past all the transgressions. And by the way, the transgressions are such that I know some of them are reprehensible, but no laws were broken. He's not a criminal. He is a good hockey player when he plays the game. And if you can improve your hockey club and want to and need to win, then you have to look at Evander Kane. And what you need to do really is make sure that the players in the dressing room have been given the opportunity to consult with the management to make sure that it happens. That's what's happened in Edmonton, because we know Donwell Connor and that senior management group with the Oilers has been asked what you think of Evander Kane. And their answer is, We want to win. And if Kane helps us win, then we want him here.
John Cooper, we just interviewed him about an hour ago.
What a great guy.
What a great guy. And our poll question is he the best coach in the NHL? You think he is?
Wow. I mean, how could you argue with a guy that's won the Stanley Cup 2 years in a row and was picked to the Olympic team? I think what John typifies is the modern day coach. He coaches at times by consensus. Leans on those senior players on his club, and I think there's a lot of coaches in the NHL that have learned how to do that. I think Rick Bowness does that in Dallas as well. I think that there's a modern day coach that massages egos, treats every individual that way differently individually, and tries to get the most out of it. It's more of a negotiation to get the best out of players these days than it is being an autocrat.
One of the reasons we asked that question, John, because it seems like an obvious answer, but he hasn't won an Adams Award, and he's been around for 10 years. He's gotten them not to just 2 Stanley Cup victories, but 3 Stanley Cup finals. People forget about 2015.
We never reward champions at times.
Yeah.
That's when we always seem to, with that trophy, we always seem to reward improvement. Maybe he did his best coaching when he's managing all those egos and all those big personalities on a team that has 5-6 superstars.
Yeah, well said. Nick Lidstrom gets hired as Red Wings VP of Hockey Operations. What does his return add to that organization?
More stability. Steve Yzerman's a smart guy. He knows what needs to be. And I mean, look at the draft picks that the Red Wings have taken out of Sweden in the last few years. Nick will, at this point, remain in Stockholm and live there, but certainly will have an influence. And I think it speaks to the international flavor that Steve is trying to create there. I don't know if you saw Steve's press conference with Nick when they were talking about it. And Nick says, I'm coming back to be a manager, not to play. And Steve said that was open for negotiation if he wanted to come back and play, because he probably still could play. He's so smart and played the game so wisely. If you can get the mind of Nick Lidstrom involved in your team, it's a smart move.
Was there a more subtle superstar in the history of the National Hockey League? Because often, John, you'd look at his game and you were just wondering what the heck he was doing to be so effective. But everybody that knows a hell of a lot more about hockey than we do just raved about him. Vision,
range, common sense, so much of what Lidstrom brought to the game. The other thing is that we always thought that big defensemen, quality defensemen, hit hard. The big body check, go in the corner. And he didn't do that. He used his angles so well. He would angle a guy into the boards and take him out of the play. It wouldn't be a big collision. It wasn't one that the crowd would be cheering about, but boy, it was subtly effective, and that's what he was so good at. He was the subtle superstar in so many ways.
Yeah. Well said again. Thanks so much, John. We'll talk to you next Thursday.
Have a great weekend, boys. It's always good when the Canucks are playing, right?
Yes, we'll see what happens tonight against Tampa Bay. Well, they played the other night. John, thanks so much.
Cheers.